Welcome to another opportunity to share with Aging While Black Live or AWB Live. We always begin by setting the context and sharing with those of you who may be sharing for the first time that Aging While Black is a multifaceted platform that elevates the voices of Black elders by amplifying their stories, perspectives, and realities. We generate collective learning and action around the systemic inequities faced by aging Black people and co create policy and people driven responses for a better today and tomorrow. I am excited today to welcome someone who has become a dear friend and a supporter. And so Dr. Leanne Clark-Shirley from the American Society on Aging, welcome to AWB Live.
Thank you so much, Raymond. I am really excited to spend time with you today and the AWB community, excuse me.
Well, speaking of that community, over the last few days, we've shared bits about you and your work, but how would you introduce yourself to this community?
Yeah, well, my name is Leanne Clark-Shirley. I grew up in Northeastern Ohio and carry the legacy of my grandmothers with me very closely, I think, first and foremost. But I'm a gerontologist. I have had a lifelong curiosity about aging, an internal fire for figuring out how I can make a difference, a positive difference in aging and older people's lives. I really see our aging society as a moment to be excited about and a moment that brings us opportunity. And I think finally, at my core, I firmly believe that collaboration is essential.
Mm,
Collaboration and community are key. That's me.
thank you. Yeah, so thank you for that. There's so much there that intrigues me. Kind of what was the origin of the curiosity around aging. I also love the emphasis on collaboration because I think it is a critical value uh, and one that is oft talked about but rarely practiced
Yeah.
as a matter of impact. So we typically start these conversations with what does the concept aging while black bring to mind for you?
Yeah. Um, well, I loved the phrase as soon as I heard it. As soon as you said I'm doing this new venture, this new movement, it's called Aging While Black. It just set off so many light bulbs for me. And when you hear the phrase aging while Black, that immediately calls in the entirety of the Black community around this really unifying experience of growing older. Um, we are all growing older every day. So I love that. It's just an immediate call in. And then, I think about the phrase aging while Black, and sometimes I find myself adding words to the front of it. So, you could add a verb in front of it, for instance, leading in aging while Black, being a student of aging while Black, et
Mhm.
cetera. And to me, what I love about that is it creates a really tangible, recognizable space for Black people that are studying, working, leading in the field of aging. And I think that's really important and necessary. And you could also, I'm a gerontologist, and so I love theory. That's one of the things I love. You could put the name of a theory in front of it: productive aging, biological aging, life course perspectives on aging while Black, productive aging while Black. Instantaneously, that refocuses the emphasis, the work, the research questions that you could generate through those theories. I think that's really neat and needed. And then finally, what I like about it is you could add a phrase like advocating for aging while Black, or designing aging services and programs in aging while Black. And that gives anyone from any racial background an immediate on-ramp to join this movement and join this conversation. I don't know if brilliant thing, brilliant naming, because it speaks to all those things for me.
Well, thank you so much. And it was absolutely brilliant to hear the many opportunities that you found to connect with the platform, and you've certainly uh, uh, added value, enhanced our thinking about how the naming, how the brand could be positioned, and that it is an on ramp, a call in, an invitation in so many ways, depending upon how it is presented. And so, thank you so very much for that. So you have assumed the helm, the leadership of an important organization at an important time. You know, the American Society on Aging enjoys a very special place in the aging ecosystem of this huge body of members who are focused on aging. Uh, in an important time for a lot of reasons. One, uh, you talked about celebrating what is happening with aging, but I mean, there are these mega trends that are happening in aging that have consequence for now and for years to come. But it's also a complex time in America for a whole lot of reasons and in a whole lot of ways. Uh,
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, you have your national conference that is your 70th birthday coming up. That small thing is happening also. Being where you are, assuming this role at this moment, how would you describe the moment?
Yeah, it's a big, I feel the gravity of the moment. I've been on the job for, let's see, 2 months and 6 days now. So, and a lot's going on in ASA. We're turning 70. We're hosting our conference, but all of that is happening at a time when our society is recognizing and talking about aging in ways that it hasn't before, for good and bad. To your point, there are more people growing older every day now than we've ever experienced. There are more people that are coming into their own, that are starting businesses in their 60s and 70s, that are um, reforming different types of families, that are thriving and working. At the same time, ageism just still seeps into so much of the conversation. So it's a moment of opportunity and a moment of challenge, I think. But something I like to say is, in the field of aging, we're very good at preaching to our own choir. I think we're at an amazing
Mm,
moment to make that choir bigger. And again, going back to my gerontology roots, which I love, the first principle about gerontology is that aging is a heterogeneous experience. The oldest segments of our population are the most diverse segments. We bring literal lifetimes of experiences, social identities, needs. The older we get, the more diverse we become. And so, taken as a whole, for this moment, I think means ASA has a chance to continue serving as the core professional home for our members who have been our members for 70 years, who work at the heart of aging services, who are providing services that literally keep people alive in their communities, who are advocating and championing and helping people thrive. But it's also a moment for ASA to be increasingly recognized as a professional home for new sectors too, like tech and marketing and graphic design. It's a big, exciting, complicated time.
thank you. You mentioned your 70th uh, birthday
Yeah.
and your national conference. All of this happening in this context. What then is your vision for On Aging 2024?
Yeah. So on Aging 2024, we're almost sold out of tickets. I just want to acknowledge that and say, wow. The pandemic really put the brakes on in-person convenings, as we all know, and we're we're at a place now where there are, over 2,000 people that have already signed up to come. And when I think about On Aging 2024 in context of all of the conferences that have come before and that will come after, On Aging is our most visible expression, I think, about what it means to be part of a professional home for everyone working in aging. It's our most visible, our most highly connective moment of expressing what it means to be a member of ASA. This year, we're going to have well over 500 workshops, hundreds of posters. I think there are 15 or 16 thematic tracks, including for the first time, Age Tech and Aging While Black. So the vision, for the On Aging conference is come here to get smart, to meet folks, to engage. And I think we're living up to that. If I had to tell you my goal or my hope for this particular conference, it's that every single person that walks into On Aging walks out with three things: new connections, meaningful connections, a new idea or practice to take home and adopt immediately, and a really strong sense of what it means, strong sense of belonging to be a part of ASA's membership. That's my vision, and those are my goals, and I can't wait to be there in San Fran.
Well, and certainly as someone who has experienced on aging in a number of different ways, I will share with you that when I was invited a few years ago to do an opening keynote that you helped prepare me for, that I was not prepared for what I experienced in terms of the passion of the people, the diversity of the people who were there. And last year in Atlanta, being able to spend the entirety of the conference uh, sharing in workshops, presenting and other things, it's just a really, really rich experience that I am anxious to see.
I'm so
We
glad.
we, we talked a bit ago just about the complexity of the world that we're in. Part of it is uh, what I would describe as just a strident pushback to conversations around equity and inclusion and I would say fundamental fairness. ASA, uh, uh, both before your leadership and early in your leadership, has firmly planted a flag on the side of equity and inclusion in the aging discourse and practice.
Yeah.
Uh, what what are the challenges and opportunities you see in the rapidly evolving political and social landscape that we find ourselves experiencing?
Yeah. I guess I would describe it as a weaponization and erasure of maybe take it one step further. DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, is being weaponized and it is being erased. And I think there's a real opportunity. I think I'm going to invoke the name of my friend Josie Penny, who I believe you spoke with last year.
I did.
She's the executive director of Family Values at Work, and Josie says to me, and she said this to folks at On Aging, I don't care if you know the terms. I care that you're doing the work. And so when I think about how the terms DEI have been weaponized and erased, I think, fine, I don't need to say those words. I'm going to keep doing the work. And I think that's an
Mm,
opportunity for us. I think this is a moment for all of us to kind of let go of our obsession with saying the right phrases and, what's the next buzzword? Replace that obsession with words with an obsession for action and an obsession with making change. I know it's not easy. It's something I struggle with every day. I look every day. What can I do instead of say? That's a question I ask myself often. And I love, Raymond, you're good at putting up prompts on what was formerly known as Twitter. What are you doing today that's going to make a difference 30 years from now? have been watching you put those tweets for years, and I still think that. So I still think about that. I think we're at that kind of a moment now. Words matter, but action matters more. And so,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
that's.
I have a dear friend of mine who will often uh, interrupt the flow of a conversation uh, by when he hears something that really piques his ear, he'll say, that needs to be on a t-shirt. Uh, and I will say that your comment about forget the words, just do the work, uh, not only needs to be on a t-shirt. I think I'm going to get a t-shirt made that says forget the words, dot, 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 just
Do
do the
the
work.
work. Just do the
Yeah,
work. I love that.
yeah,
I'll buy
that's
one of those t-shirts too.
and so in this cauldron of discourse that we find ourselves in, and assuming this leadership helm at this important time, uh, why, pray tell, was the partnership with AWB important to you and ASA?
Oh my gosh, it's important for so many reasons. It's important because it is it is 2024, and it is a perfect moment for us to partner. ASA partnering on issues that matter to the Black community is not new for ASA. I think about
Right.
the Black leaders that have really that have and continue to shape ASA. I think about Purcell Stanford, who will be at On Aging, Lewis Colbert, who will be at On Aging, Cynthia Banks. If you don't know these people, they're just wonderful people. She'll be there too, and she's Velma Carter Dreyer. We had the New Ventures in Leadership program for people of color that ran in the 90s through the early 2000s. Naja Orr, he's on ASA's board. He came from that program and is now highly engaged as a board member on our executive committee. I think about our ASA Rise Fellows today. I think about you, Raymond. I mean, you're a mentor. The point is, ASA has always been and will continue to be shaped by Black leaders and thinking that is rooted in the Black community. And so this partnership, it's a really exciting one because I know that our work together will have a huge impact on the next 70 years of ASA. So it's important. I don't want to say it's a no-brainer because I don't want to demean it in that way, but it's just such a natural alignment of mission and passion.
Well, we are excited and appreciative of the opportunity. Of course, as you are keenly aware, we will have the Black Aging Summit on Monday afternoon. And on Aging, a number of the names that you mentioned will be taking part in that. We have tabletop discussions that will be facilitated by ASA Rise Fellows and alum. And so we fully embrace the partnership and appreciate it. And so now you are now being given the official AWB magic wand. Uh, what are you going to transform about aging in America and why?
What a wand to hold in my hand. Two things come to mind. The first is this strange obsession that we have with chronological age in this society.
Mhm.
I think the first thing I would do is to wave the wand to get rid of that. Because how else, if we didn't organize ourselves based on how old we are, how else could we do it better? How could we
Mhm.
categorize ourselves? How could we form affinities? How could we determine eligibility for programs in a better way? I think we could make smarter decisions if we stop thinking about how many times we've circled, the Earth's revolution. The second thing I would do related to that is I would make longevity available to everyone. Aging is available to all of us. We're all aging. Longevity, not. Um, to pull that off, that wand would have to end racism, end homophobia, end ableism, end ageism, all these things that we know shorten our lifespan and our life expectancy. It means fixing climate change, having healthy air to breathe. It means ending gun violence, to be honest with you. All of these, that would be a big, powerful move. And it feels like a tall order, but when I think about it, I think ASA has a role in bringing folks together that are working on all those different problems toward the common goal of making longevity available to all of us.
Yeah, and while it is not a magic wand, ASA is certainly a potent vehicle for many of the changes uh, that you mentioned, and I just want to name the importance of expanding the conversation beyond strictly age that you made reference to, because so very often one of my early observations was that so many of the conversations I encountered early in the aging space were about age and health, end of conversation. And there's so much else about people's lives, but there's so much else that's also impacting
Yeah,
how people age in America. Um,
no
and
question.
going back to the whole construct of aging while black and climate, when you think about the number of people of color who live in disinvested communities and who are impacted by climatological factors, it's not a conversation that shows up often in aging conversations. Uh, and also, I mentioned in your last comment that should be on a T-shirt. Since you mentioned my social media post, I'm going to share one that is a direct result of your quote, your comment, and it will be something to the effect of, uh, if we didn't care about how old we were, what are some things that we could really get accomplished?
That's brilliant.
Uh,
It's brilliant.
because so very often we do become preoccupied by that.
Yeah,
So,
so true.
as we wrap up the conversation, um, we always do by inviting people to a space of your best hope.
Mm.
And so, Aging While Black seriously seeks to be a catalyst for movement building around these pillars of recalibrating the village, embracing innovation and rapid change, and leaning into Sankofa. If we were wildly successful at this, what's your best hope?
I think you will be wildly successful. I think you already are making great. My best hope is that Black elders' lives across the nation and probably across the globe will be uplifted. I think this is about uplifting the lives of older Black people. And in that process, I hope that future Black elders' lives will be uplifted while they're young and then as they move into old age. I also hope that your movement shows white leaders and predominantly white organizations that they have a clear path to join. There's a clear path for white leaders to help and support this movement. Um, and when I think about it, actually, that all plays into making longevity available for everyone.
It does.
So, so yeah, tall order, but but a reasonable expectation, I think, for what you're building.
Well, thank you so much for those wonderful thoughts, and thank you for making time for this conversation. In the midst of all that you have going on, it means more to us than you could know. I am eternally grateful for your friendship and support, and for the partnership with ASA. Uh, we'll look forward to seeing you in San Francisco And thank you, Dr. Leanne Clark-Shirley, for joining us for AWB Live.
You're so welcome. The feeling is entirely mutual. Thank you so much for letting me share your space today.
Thank you. And thank you guys for joining us, for watching. We'd love to have any comments that you have to share with us. Like, subscribe, share. Thank you.